The Hokies hoping to bounce back from a first losing season since the early 90s. Position previews are next on the Voice of College Football. All right, we're talking Virginia Tech football. We got Paul Van Wagner on the line from ESPN Blacksburg. We have a good conversation with Paul each and every time, so I always look forward to these. Unfortunately, this one's going to be a little bit short. But, Paul, how you doing today?
I am well. How's everything up north?
Up north, yes, we're doing just fine. This is the best time of year to be up north because it's 80 instead of 100.
Right.
As opposed to when it's 20 here instead of being 50 there. So I'll take it this time of year. May through October, I'll stay here, and then we're going to work out plans to maybe do something about the rest of the year at some point. All right, when I've got a few more gray hairs on my head. 6 and 7 has to be the bounce back here, and the defensive front is usually a strength at Virginia Tech, much like the defensive backfield. But traditionally, Trevon Hill is going to stay in the division, but he's going to be playing with the different colors on, and probably the worst team that Virginia Tech would want him to go to. And he's taken his 4.5 tackles for loss and 3.5 sacks with him. So he's going to be a major player on the defensive front in Coral Gables. What does Virginia Tech have coming back?
They have a lot coming back, and fortunately for the Hokies, or maybe unfortunately if you followed them last season, they had a lot of really young guys that played and probably shouldn't have been playing, not because they're not talented, but just they weren't ready. If you're an 18-year-old freshman and you're going against 22-year-old seniors on an offensive line for Notre Dame, you're going to be outmatched unless you're one of those top guys like Clemson or Alabama gets. But guys like Zion DeBose, Nathan Proctor, Emmanuel Belmar, Tyler Garbett, these are guys that are going to have some experience now and are going to have an opportunity to get out there and show a little bit about what they can do for Virginia Tech. I think the biggest question mark is going to be, how do you clog the middle? One thing that Virginia Tech has done a really poor job of is recruiting the big 300-pound guys that can just plug up the middle. They have a couple of them coming in. A kid by the name of Aiden Brown is going to be here. I don't know if these kids get playing time or not. I've honestly never seen them on the field. So if they take strides, they're in. If they don't, we'll see what happens, I guess.
Yeah, Virginia Tech sprung a leak on the defensive side certainly last year, and it was much anticipated with all the graduation losses plus the guys that got injured, which was almost unprecedented across college football, looking at all three position units and especially in the defensive backfield last year. I love to tap guys like you in particular that have a little bit more pulse of the fan base because you take the phone calls and have the interaction. We're only 6 weeks away from these kids getting on the field for the first week of August. Are people excited about what the Hokies have in store?
I think they're excited for what it could be. You and I talked about this last time. Unfortunately, the schedule breeds a lot of meh feelings for Virginia Tech fans. You don't really have that marquee game out there for the Hokies this year, or marquee games. Everything that's big, Notre Dame, Miami, I'm trying to think of some other ones, that Boston College, you're on the road for those games. At home you have the likes of Duke, North Carolina, and Furman. So it's not, I think the anticipation is high. I think people expect Virginia Tech will bounce back. I've heard a lot of people say 10 or 11 wins is kind of the bar that this team needs to achieve. And with the schedule that they have, 10 or 11 wins is very achievable. But yeah, the schedule does nothing to inspire you to purchase season tickets. Hopefully winning against this schedule will breed some excitement in the fan base.
Good stuff. Paul Van Wagner, join him on ESPN Blacksburg. I'm sure there's an app there for people that are out of the listening area.
There is. In fact, if you just search for ESPN Blacksburg in your iTunes store, it's there. We had a little snafu with Google. We're working on getting it back there. Hopefully by next week, it'll be back up if you have an Android phone. But you can always listen online at espnblacksburg.com.
All right, Paul, we got to have you back to talk more Virginia Tech football.
Absolutely. You let me know when.